Hey everyone, my name's Amy, and today, does soy mess up your hormones? Let's talk about that. So, if at any point you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe so that you can keep up to date with all of the videos that I'm going to be making. Alright, so let's get started. So, one of the big myths about soy is that it can actually mess with a man's testosterone levels. I hear so many people talking about this as the reason why they will avoid tofu or soy milk or whatever, when actually that's not scientifically validated. This meta-analysis on randomized placebo-controlled trials from 2010 looked at studies that were testing whether or not soy could actually affect a man's, specifically, testosterone. While there was a little bit of heterogeneity, as you can see through this forest plot, the majority of the studies, when pulled together, show the conclusion that there is no effect of either soy protein or soy isoflavones on testosterone levels in men. Isoflavones are kind of the thing that people typically tend to be afraid of as far as soy goes, because those are the antioxidants that are found in soy, some of which do happen to be phytoestrogens or plant estrogens. But even that did not have any effect on the testosterone levels in men. Another thing that a lot of people are afraid about as far as eating soy goes is the phytoestrogens that are in it. So phytoestrogens are plant estrogens that happen to be found not only in soy but in a couple of other types of plants as well. But people are more familiar with soy, so they're a little bit more afraid of it from that. People think that these phytoestrogens could possibly raise the estrogen that is in a human body, and this actually is not backed up by the scientific literature. So, as far as men go, this study looked at whether or not soy protein supplements would actually raise estrogen levels in men. And what they found was that when men were taking the soy protein supplement, the results showed that the men who actually had the soy protein had a lower estrogen level at the end as compared to even the placebo group. And the effect on testosterone was pretty interesting as well, because their testosterone levels stayed relatively stable, whereas, of course, with the whey protein group, it did manage to go up some. There was also actually a study from 2010 that looked at a bunch of clinical trials on the effects of soy on men. And what they found was, quote, "Overall, the findings indicate that even in response to isoflavone intakes that greatly exceeded typical Japanese values and amounts obtainable through reasonable dietary behavior, isoflavones do not affect estrogen levels." So men, phytoestrogens are not going to raise your estrogen level. So, what about soy affecting a girl during puberty? This one happened to be done on Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians. Of course, vegetarians and vegans and people who eat a plant-based diet in general sometimes will have more soy in their diet than omnivores, simply because a lot of meat replacements and other things can come from soy. They checked to see how much soy the girls were having, and they checked to see whether or not it would affect the age of menstruation for those young girls. And what they found was that there actually wasn't any effect on it. Now, there was one study that did come out of Japan that actually looked at the estrogen levels of premenopausal women and postmenopausal women as affected by soy. And what they found through this study was the fact that soy raised the estrogen levels of postmenopausal women, but it was only slightly. The thing is that at the very end of the study, They said, however, E2 production in postmenopausal women is very low, and the increases shown in this study with urinary isoflavone are slight. In premenopausal women, a high frequency of soy food intake was associated with an increase in urinary isoflavone level, but was not associated with urinary estrogen level. So, all of this is to say, no, soy does not have an effect on raising estrogen levels. So the last thing that people typically tend to be afraid of as far as soy goes is its effect on your thyroid. And now, this meta-analysis looked at soy's effect on a person's thyroid, and they did find that there was an increase in TSH levels when people did consume soy for a long period of time. TSH levels are associated with hypothyroidism, which is something that is not very good. Your thyroid is incredibly important in your body, and when you have an underactive thyroid, it can actually be linked with risk of heart disease. So it's not good to be able to have your thyroid not functioning properly. Even though they did find that slight, modest rise in that specific thing, it probably isn't going to have too much of an issue unless you already happen to have hypothyroidism already. In conclusion, soy does not drop a man's testosterone levels. It does not raise a man's, woman's, or child's estrogen levels. And really, it does not affect your thyroid unless you're already having some issues with it in the first place. So, all of those myths about soy are absolutely not true. And in the next video, I'm going to tell you guys some of the benefits of eating soy. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video and that you always remember to love God, eat greens, get moving. See you in the next video.